Howdy, how y'all doing today? I'm gonna tell you another story, ex-wife story. Which one? I ain't gonna tell you. Well, we have been married for several years and had a house, and it's paid for and all. I got up one February morning and it was cold in that house, and she kept it cold in there, trying to keep the bills down. It stayed cold in that house all the time, and on top of being cold and her attitude and the way she treated me and all, I got to think about it, and I said, that's enough. I've had enough. That's it. I'm kind of a laid-back person. I don't jump up and down, scream and holler and all. Anyway, she got up that morning, and we sat there at the breakfast table, and I was freezing to death. And I told her, I said, look, we gave it our best shot, but I don't think it's working. I said, we come into this relationship as good friends and all, and I'd kind of like it to stay that way, so we'll go see an attorney today at lunchtime, and you can have the house, you can have everything in it except for my clothes and tools and guns and stuff like that. You can have everything in here, and I'll just walk off and leave it, and we'll just call it even just like that. You can have it all. She said, really? Yeah, you can have it all. I just want out. She looked at me, kind of smiled, and said, well, okay. Well, she went ahead and went to work, and I called in, and I started packing up my stuff. Of course, it didn't take long, because like I said, all I had was my guns, my tools, and clothes, and, I packed it all up, and went down to the local fish market and bought me a bunch of shrimp, and went back, and I boiled about half of them. And I sat there and I was eating them shrimp, and it was kind of peaceful, my last day in my house, And I looked over at that other half-pound of shrimp. Well, I come up with an idea. I took them shrimp and stuffed them in the curtain rods all around the house. Like I said, now it's cold in that house in February. And I went ahead and moved on out. Sure enough, met her at the attorney's office. We did the paperwork up. Being it was uncontested and all, we got a divorce in 6 weeks. It didn't take no time. Well, springtime started rolling around. She had done moved her boyfriend in there with her. Kind of warmed up in that house a little bit. The smell got unbearable. She ripped up all the carpet and put new carpet in there. That didn't do it. She had the whole house steam cleaned on the inside. That didn't do it. Well, about July rolled around, and it was really rotten in that house. And I called her, and I said, well, I hadn't talked since we got divorced, and I just wondered how you was doing. She said, oh, I'm doing good, but we trying to sell the house, and we can't sell the house, and want to move and can't do it. And I said, well, what's the problem? She said, well, I've tried to get people to buy it, but got this bad odor in the house. We don't know where it's coming from. We just can't figure it out. And I said, well, what would you take for it? And she gave me an ungodly price, and it's about half of what the house was worth. And I thought about it for a second. And I come up with a figure that would get the house about 1/10 of what we actually paid for the house. Well, she jumped on it. And I said, really? And she, yeah. And I said, well, meet me at the bank in the morning. We'll do the paperwork up, title transfers and all that kind of stuff. So she met me at the bank. And then later on that evening, there was a U-Haul truck backed up to the house. Her and her boyfriend packed everything up in it. She called me later on that evening and told me I could come pick the keys up. I went by there and I picked the keys up. She said, have fun in your new house. Well, I went over there, walked in the door, and I could smell a little bit of odor. She took everything. She took pictures and rugs and all the furniture in the house. It was basically an empty house. And just for spite, she took the curtain rods with her. I call it karma.